Hey folks, this is eSC here. I'll be doing a commentary of a 1 versus 1. This is of course going to be a Protoss versus Terran. This is part of the new Northern Spotlight feature in the basically the monthly eSports Canada newsletter that they're doing. So basically what it is just a way, you've probably heard of it, of course, if you're watching this commentary, but if you just stumbled upon this video, basically it's you know, something to help get some of these newer, up-and-coming Canadian players into the spotlight a bit. Of course, you know, Canada is actually, if you look at it like per capita, really one of the best countries in terms of StarCraft 2, probably up there with Ukraine and Sweden outside of Korea. Korea kind of dominates anybody, but I mean, Canada, you know, we've got players like Slush, we've got players like Kiyukaki, of course, Huck, probably the biggest name, Druby, of course, doing fantastic, just actually won the MLG North American qualifier, so a lot of very successful Canadian players, but this will not be featuring anyone you've probably heard of. Our Canadian player here is going to be Merlin. This is just a new player. I've never actually seen his games. I've got no idea how good he is, so I'm pretty excited to see if this guy, you know, has it in him to be a big up-and-coming good player here. Just a bit about him. He's relatively young, 18 years old, so, you know, nothing too crazy. Not super duper young like some of these guys like Poke Bunny and Vile Illusion, but pretty young. He is a native of Nova Scotia, which is interesting, and I'm really shocked right now. I think this replay is, of course, 1.43 or 1.42, and 1.43 just came out, so I'm actually watching the replay with an older version of BattleNet. Now on the mini-map I'm seeing like purple and blue. I don't know if I'm just now developing some kind of color problem with my eyes, but it looks like the Nexus is blue and everything else is purple, so I don't know. I'm a little bit confused, but I'm going to go ahead and cast the game for you guys. So we'll see. It looks like a very standard opening here so far. Just Gateway, second pylon coming up. Very typical stuff. Our Terran player, who I actually know nothing about, his name is I am Imba A.S.Futz, so that's a bit of a mouthful there, but he looks to be going for just like a 1-Rax expand, which is a pretty typical build. You know, a Metalopolis, the natural expansion, very wide open, so sometimes these builds can be quite hard to hold. I do like this position here, just trying to be a little bit ninja about that. We'll see if Merlin actually scouts that out. He really definitely should be poking around, but he's got to be careful and actually doubles back there. I'm not too sure about that. Now SCV is actually going to take out that SCV, so he's a little bit in the dark now, and he does continue to make purple buildings despite having the blue Nexus, so I got no idea what Blizzard did, but this is super bizarre. And he did take a second gas here, so he may be looking to get aggressive here. He is going to go ahead and get one Stalker out. Not chrono boosting that quite yet, should definitely think about doing that. He did drop one chrono boost on his cybernetics core, though, and what is this probe going to do? It looks like he's going to build a second gateway here, so definitely going to want to apply a little bit of pressure if you know, you've seen your opponent not take gas and most likely go for an expansion. So we'll see what he wants to do, where this Stalker is going to be rallied. Meanwhile, just pumping out more probes. You know, nothing too crazy going on. There's the third gateway. You know, often you see players throw these two down at the same time. They're a little bit staggered. That can make you know, the warp-in cycles a little bit awkward sometimes, but that's not too big a deal. What is a big deal, though, is the fact that he doesn't really have a probe out on the map, you know, to set up that forward pylon. Doesn't even actually have one here, so it's going to be hard to get across the map and pressure, and he is actually going up to a Twilight Council now, so this may be just a straight-up blink all in, and those are, you know, that's a pretty good build to put pressure on. If you micro well and your opponent isn't on the ball, then they can get in a lot of trouble. Possibly he could still go for DTs. He's making a sentry now, and that always kind of makes things kind of like, well, you know, if you don't want to go DT, then you probably want to, you know, not make a sentry, because those take a lot of gas. But if you want to go blink stock, you also don't really need the sentry too much, because you just want to make stalkers. Meanwhile, an SCV does pop in there. Looks like maybe some lag going down there, but probably a pause, because all those messages were instant. But he saw there was no Nexus, and this is where you gotta just start making bunkers. If you can just get all these bunkers full, maybe even get one on the high ground, maybe consider dropping a scan. He should be in a pretty good spot to hold this. There's no scan that's gone down. He does see that additional gateway, though, so he should be suspicious. And oh my god, look at this. Actually getting hallucination as well. Now, this is very, very unique. I do have to point out, though, he's only got 2 guys in this one gas geyser, and that's gonna be a problem. But he's got this nice forward pylon up. He's pumping out plenty of, well, he's not really pumping out too many units at all. He's still just sitting at 2 stalkers and 1 sentry, but with 4 warp gates, he's gonna be able to churn out a ton of stalkers very, very soon. most likely going to use Hallucinate to blink into the main base, and this is quite smart. Usually we see a Robotics go down to get that Observer out to do this, but you know, that Sentry early on, it really makes a lot of sense. You know, I was kind of thinking, oh, is this guy not really that great? You know, why is he getting this? You know, why is he getting this Sentry? It's kind of a waste of gas in this kind of situation, but if you're skipping out on the Robo because of that, it's pretty solid. It looks like he does have some Zealots ready to charge into the natural there if he feels like enough units are out of position. There is a bunker going up on the high ground here, so he's going to need to micro very carefully. Nice blink there, just pull him back to see the Sentry actually coming out here to help out. Zealot's just going to wait. Looks like he did go ahead and blink right on up. Needs to take out the SCV building in the bunker, but he's already killed quite a lot of units, and now the Zealot's going to head on in. Very nice decision making here. These Stalkers going to continue kiting back. SCV's off the line here, and this is looking quite effective right here, but keep in mind, this build is really quite all in, and that bunker does finish off, and Stalkers against bunkers are pretty bad, and it looks like that Stalker's going to stay alive. Meanwhile, the Zealots have gotten a fair amount of kills. Looks like 2 kills and 1 kill, so really not too many, but only 18 SCVs out. So if he were to just back off a little bit and throw down a Nexus, he would definitely be in a fantastic position here. Meanwhile, just continuing to poke in. Always a little bit hard to keep track of, man. These Zealots definitely not only killing a lot of SCVs, but forcing a lot of workers off of mining, and that's exactly what you want to do. So we'll see, is he going to want to expand? He actually has 2 probes on the low ground, so it looks like he does, but he is still Chrono boosting weight on his gateways. He's got a pretty good supply lead. Going to be able to take out this one bunker basically for free. Needs to be careful with that Sentry. Definitely want to keep that alive. And now in comes the units once again. No stim done here. No stim even getting researched. Does he not even have concussive shell? No, he doesn't. And that's risky, but he's got to be careful, man. Just straight up Stalkers against Marauders, not the greatest. Not the greatest, but you know, when you can blink, you can do okay, and he's definitely doing a great job blinking right now. Needs to be careful. Some of these Stalkers are very injured. Don't want to lose those weakened ones, but no, man, he's not losing too many at all, and he's doing a great job here. He is still spending all his money like a madman, so I gotta say, where is the Nexus? And actually, there's the Nexus. He actually did spend his money on that, just couldn't see it until it was actually thrown down. So, solid stuff here, and this is how you want to do this build. You know, just get in, do some damage, but very rarely are you really going to be able to kill your opponent, especially if they've gotten out Marauders. So, looking very good here. His opponent down to 14 SCVs. I mean, that's pretty damn hard to come back from, especially when you don't have these bio upgrades going. You know, if you've already got those going, then yeah, you're going to be in pretty good shape. And oh my god, he's actually going to go ahead and double expand. This is kind of a kick in the face to a Terran player. A scan actually going down in the main base, and that will see the Dark Shrine. So, you know, if these DTs come in and do a lot of damage, he's going to look pretty foolish. It looks like he's getting ready to throw down that engineering bay, and so he should have turrets in plenty of time. Nonetheless, though, with this double expand for Merlin, it's going to be damn near impossible for this to really be busted. Like, pretty much a Raven is a long way off, and with only 2 orbitals, he's not going to have enough scans to really be able to keep his army safe from DTs, but he is moving out now, so he's going to get a good distance cross map. You know, ideally there would already be a DT here to start, you know, forcing out scans and to be annoying, but the Dark Shrine's not done yet, so if he can get down there, you know, take out that 3rd base, he should be able to get himself back in this, but he really can't miss an SCV. He's doing a pretty good job having 2 in production most of the time, but right now, you know, that slight hiccup, he needs those, but either way, it looks like he's just going for it. Still does not have stim. His opponent does, remember, have blink, and blink is, of course, going to help, but unfortunately, a couple Stalkers getting caught completely out of position here. Looks like Probe's going to come offline. He knows if he can just crush this attack, he's going to be fine. Very interesting here, actually, individually blinking up Stalkers. Looks like, some more chat going down here. He's just spamming away, probably some kind of pause there or something. Either way, everything just continuing to kite back here, and a lot of probes definitely getting taken out. Look at that, down to 19 probes. So this game definitely a very back and forth game here. Taking out that many probes puts him in a good